Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we are going to talk about 5 moments in Doctor Who that just make me fist punch the air. 5 moments in Doctor Who that I absolutely adore. Because Doctor Who, especially for a show that's run as long as it has, it does have those moments that just are so amazing and so awesome and just get the dopamine going and get you, on the edge of your seat excited and fired up that you adore to go back and revisit. Then you're just like, ah! That's my hero right there. Just 5 moments in the show that it's really fire me up and get me excited. There's actually several of these I've come up with. I actually have about 15 on this list, so I'm going to split them into 3 videos. And today we're going to talk about the first 5 that I wrote down. I'll do them in the order I talked about them. And the first one on here is actually from the Day of the Doctor, and that is when the Doctors all saved Gallifrey. That made my day. I love this scene. Part of it is it uses that a nice version of I Am the Doctor. I've always loved Matt Smith's The Doctor theme. I Am the Doctor in its various forms. But I love that when you see the music start to build and it's like, it's alright, hundreds and hundreds of years. But don't worry, I started a very long time ago. And you see that other TARDIS fly in, you see the first Doctor, informing the War Council of Gallifrey, this is the Doctor. And I'm like, oh, they even brought in the first Doctor. But then you see that bit where he's like, you might say I've been doing this all my lives. And you see all the TARDISes flying in, and then there in the room with the General on the screens, you see all of the Doctors, using, footage of them working in the TARDIS, of course, from classic and, shots from modern Who. But that's a neat way to work them in using that old footage, seeing them in the TARDISes, and of course you get a little sound bite with them. Soon be there, cross the boundaries to separate one universe from another. I loved that. And of course you get that little shot of Eccleston for my next trick, but just seeing all of them on those screens and the camera panning and the music is perfect for it. I was so excited and fired up getting my classic Doctors in there, and then no, sir, all 13, and getting that shot of Capaldi's eyebrows, because he'd already been announced a couple months before, but we knew we weren't getting him until, after the Christmas special. So to actually see them sneak him in, that blew me away, and then getting more shots of I loved that scene. Do I wish it would have been a little more with the classic Doctors like some of the fan edits have done? Yes, there have been some great fan edits on YouTube where they've snuck in some classic footage and made it look really good. I would have liked there to have been a little more, because it does just kind of, holy crap, this is amazing, and it's over already to it. But it is a great scene. It blew me away the first time I saw it. I was actually over at a friend of mine's house. We were watching the simulcast together, and it just blew me away seeing all of that and seeing the previous Doctors, and it's still one of my favorite moments to go back and rewatch. I haven't as much lately, but for a long time I'd go back and just pop on YouTube and rewatch that scene, and I'd be like, it still gets me fired up every time I watched it. Next on the list, sticking with the modern series, is of course, Hello, I'm the Doctor. Matt Smith's scene at the end of the 11th hour. I get so pumped up with that when he's talking with the Atraxi after he calls them back and he's changing into his new outfit. Hello there, the Doctor will see you now. I love that whole scene. This Doctor is brimming with confidence. This whole episode, I love that the 11th Doctor has all of this confidence in him. He is almost a bit cocky. He knows he can do this, and he lives up to everything he promises in this episode. In that bit when he's putting on his tie, this tie all right? He's talking to them, has it broken any laws of the Atraxi? And just one more question, Is this world protected? Because you're not the first lot to have been here. There have been so many showing footage of different enemies he's fought, some of which he hasn't fought yet. It's kind of weird, some of the footage that's in there. But then they even sneak in some classic footage, like this classic Suntaran and a classic Sea Devil. And I noticed that. I'm like, they got some classic, cool. And then he does that, and the question you have to ask yourself is, what happened to them. And when he turns and walks away, I see Hartnell staring at me, and then Troughton, and then Pertwee, and then Tom, and then Peter, and it's cycling through the old doctors. And again, it's using that I Am the Doctor theme that I love that. I love Matt Smith's Doctor theme. And it's just, Murray Gold just does these iconic, epic pieces of music that just claw their way into your brain and never leave. Kind of like Claire Oswald, I guess, according to the 12th Doctor. And I love that, and everything combines there. And just seeing all of the previous Doctors like that, seeing Baker and Davison and Baker too, and McCoy, and then seeing that last shot of Tennant, who, you know, had just left the role. So I'm sure a lot of people, when his face flashed up, were like, oh, they're doing this to me. And just watching Matt Smith step through the hologram of Tennant's face, you know, solidifying himself as the current Doctor. If there's ever a spot when you know Matt Smith is the Doctor, it's right there. And he just walks through and he goes, hello, I'm the Doctor. Basically, run. Oh, I love that. That's gold. Basically, run. I love that. And they leave. They leave. That is the Doctor. That's what the Doctor does. That's lessons that Chibs and Jodie need to be writing down. This is how you do the Doctor right here. Because that's amazing. The confidence. The fact that you can tell someone to run and an entire alien fleet that can destroy the planet goes. That is such a moment. I have watched that scene so many times. I wouldn't be surprised if it was in the triple digits. I have watched that scene a lot. I love that moment. I always get fired up. I always get excited. And it always has me fist punching the air. I love it. Next on the list, jumping to Classic Who, is, of course, Tom Baker's Do I Have the Right speech. It is wonderful. I love that moment. It's such a character-building moment, not only for the 4th Doctor, but for the Doctor in general. I love the way it's acted. I love the way Tom Baker does that. The fact he has a chance to destroy the Daleks, to ever keep them from ever being created and being, to where, you know, millions of people will never even know the word Dalek. And he still hesitates because he would have to commit genocide. And I'm sure, you know, even puts it there, like if someone pointed out a child and told you, you know, that child would grow up to be a ruthless dictator, to, you know, take millions and millions of lives, could you then kill that child? You know, kind of like a lot of people make that comparison of, you know, if you could go back in time and, you know, kill a certain World War II German leader before he grew up and save, you know, everything from happening, would you do it? And of course, I actually have had people tell me, well, the 4th Doctor should have done it. He should have just done it. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you know, it's easy to say, well, so-and-so should have done it. It's a lot harder to actually do it yourself. You're like, well, yeah, they should have killed the World War II guy when he was a baby. Of course, you have a time machine, you go do that. It's different if they take you back in time and put the gun in your hand and say, there you go. You know, it's a lot easier to say, yeah, the 4th Doctor should have done that, gotten rid of the Daleks. It's a lot harder if you're actually sitting there with the wires in your hand having to do that, having to commit genocide, and basically be no better than the Daleks. You know, but if I kill, then I become no better than them. I become like the Daleks. And the scene is just done so well. And I love the fact that he doesn't end up choosing. He gets spared that because was it Gorman, I think his name is, comes in, and, you know, and he thinks he's got it licked. Well, it's all right, you know, we've won. It's over. You don't have to do this. Like, oh, I appreciate that. You don't know how much I appreciate that. You know, you have no idea how grateful and how relieved the 4th Doctor is that he didn't have to make that choice. Now, he tried later. He did go back later to try to slow the Daleks down as much as possible, just because he saw the horror that was coming. But I do love that scene. It's just a well done, well shot, well written, well acted scene, and it always fires me up because I love the 4th Doctor, and I love that scene. It might not be quite the spectacle like some of the stuff in modern Who is, but it's such a character building moment. And for someone who has as much love for the 4th Doctor as I do, you get to see that this man who can stop these evil creatures still hesitates because he's a good person. And he knows that it's still, in a way, it's still wrong to do. And I love that. Next on the list is actually a smaller one. It's not as memorable, I think, but I still love it every time I see it. And it's the 3rd Doctor when he saves Sarah in Death to the Daleks. I've only seen a couple stories from season 11. I've seen Death to the Daleks, and I've seen Planet of the Spiders. I love that scene, though, in Death to the Daleks when he's been brought into the room and they're about to sacrifice Sarah. You know, they've drugged her and they're about to sacrifice her. And as soon as, you know, John's got a couple of the people there on the side of him, as soon as he sees her in danger, he goes, "Hey!" He karate chops both of them next to him and just flying tackles the crowd. He just jumps right into the crowd. I love that. I mean, he doesn't even hesitate. He doesn't hesitate at all. He immediately jumps to save her when he sees she's about to be sacrificed. I love that scene. It's so much in character with the Third Doctor and in character with the Doctor. I just love it. As soon as he sees it, "Hey!" And then he just jumps and flying tackles them. And there's no way he can win. There's so many of them. I mean, when he he tackles them, it's not like one of them. It's like there's a bunch of them there. And he just hits the nearest two and just jumps them. I love it. I love it. And you never know. It could have been more. It could have been like the modern Doctors. You know, the Doctor thinks so fast. You know, kind of like in Heaven Sent when we see Capaldi inside his mental TARDIS. He could have done that. John could have taken that second and analyzed the situation and been in his Third Doctor TARDIS working and figured it out and then moved. And, you know, he just thinks so fast that, you know, there's no discernible time has passed. But I like to think that he just saw it and immediately acted. You know, I love my action Third Doctor. Pertwee is one of my favorites, so I absolutely adore that. Just as soon as he saw his companion in danger, "Hey!" And he just flying tackle. I love that. I mean, obviously, you can tell I love that scene. I get fired up. It's like every time I watch it, I have to rewind it and watch it again. I always have to watch it twice. Like I watch it, and I wind it back a minute, and I watch it again. I love that. I think I raved about it last time I reviewed Death to the Daleks. I love that scene. It's just, it shows how much the Doctor cares about his companions, how much he cares about Sarah, and that he doesn't hesitate. Excuse me. That he doesn't hesitate when it comes to saving his companions. I absolutely adore that scene. And last but not least on the list for today, we started with Day of the Doctor. We're going to end with Day of the Doctor, and that is, of course, when the Doctor meets the Curator. I love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in Doctor Who. And I knew immediately. I remember back when the episode first came out and I was watching some reactors on YouTube, and they, you know, suddenly you hear the, "You know, I really think you might." And they seem confused. I'm like, how are you confused? It's obviously Tom Baker. He has a very distinctive voice. I know, again, as I mentioned earlier, I was at a friend's house. We were watching a simulcast of it. And as soon as I heard that, I'm sitting there going, "That's Tom Baker! That's Tom Baker! That's Tom Baker! Oh my God, that's Tom Baker!" I was very much nerding out. I was so excited. My friend was like, "All right," because he's not much of a Doctor Who fan. He just wanted to hang out, and he would watch it if I was watching it. And I was just going through the roof. "That's Tom Baker! Oh my God!" You know, so I see these people on YouTube, and they're like, "Oh, who's that? Is that Peter Capaldi?" And I'm like, No, you're supposed to be a Doctor Who fan, right? No. Now I'm a little more open-minded now. I get that there are Doctor Who fans that haven't seen the Fourth Doctor. I don't know why, but apparently there are. Those poor bastards. They don't know what they're missing out from. But there was a few reactors I had to stop watching over that, because I was so upset that they did not know the gloriousness of the Fourth Doctor. Of course, that was, again, at the time, I was very much more opinionated. I'm a lot more open-minded now. I think most of you guys know I'm very much, everybody has their own opinion. Let's respect each other's opinions and all that stuff now. Wasn't quite like that back then. But I was excited. And then when you actually see his face, I never forget a face. I know you don't. I love that whole talk. It does get a little self-congratulatory, I think, with the "maybe I was you, maybe you were me, congratulations, thank you very much." It gets a little too meta there. But other than that, I love it. I love when they talk about the painting and how it's the Curator that tells them it's all one title. Gallifrey falls no more. What do you think that means, eh? I love all of that. And then I love his bit at the end of, perhaps it doesn't matter either way. Who knows? Who knows? I love that. I love that. Who knows? I love that. And you swear that Tom Baker probably did that. As much as he liked to improvise stuff, in my mind, he did that himself. He improvised that himself. Because I love that scene. Because it feels like a very Fourth Doctor conversation and a very Tom Baker conversation. because those very much are the same side of the same coin. Um, and I love that. And even the Fourth Doctor, during his run, there were times he would do, that. So to see him do that, who knows? It's very in character for him to do. And I absolutely love that. Because again, the Tom Baker and the Fourth Doctor, it's hard to tell where one starts and the other begins. Where one ends and the other begins. Because the Fourth Doctor is very much just Tom Baker being Tom Baker. I'll never forget one of my favorite YouTube comments ever. It was something along the lines of, "Who is this Tom Baker fellow the Fourth Doctor's been calling himself for the past few years?" It's very accurate. And I adore that scene, though. Just the fact they were able to get Tom Baker back, who famously didn't come back for a lot of stuff. He didn't come back for the 20th. He wouldn't do Big Finish for a long time. Now, the fact that he did start doing Big Finish again, and the fact that they did get him to appear in this, it's just the fact it happened, Like, getting him to do this is like getting Eccleston back to do Big Finish. It's just, you never thought these things would happen. So to see, the Fourth Doctor, basically the Fourth Doctor, on screen again, to have Tom Baker back, I still love rewatching that moment. And the music there is really good too. I really actually like the incidental music playing right there. It's really good, fits the mood perfectly. And just hearing behind the scenes that Tom Baker liked Matt Smith, that Matt Smith was very kind and cordial to him there, also really helps that scene for me in my mind. It's just such a wonderful scene. One of my favorite scenes in all of Doctor Who. And definitely one of those moments that just puts a smile on my face every time I watch it. So that has been 5 moments in Doctor Who that always make me fist punch the air in excitement. I absolutely adore and treasure all 5 of them. I would like to know what you think of these moments and maybe what 5 that you like. Not necessarily top 5, but just 5 moments that always make you smile, get the old dopamine going. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do while I have you here. Please click the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. If you enjoy my content and want to see more of it, I also have a P.O. box. If there's anything you would like to see me, that is down in the description. Anything you would like to see me? I can't talk today. If there's anything you would like to send me, you can check that out. That is down in the description below. I also have an Amazon wish list, which I update regularly. I've just added some Big Finish stuff I've been interested in, like The Last Doctor, The First Out of Time with the Fourth Doctor and the 10th Doctor, and The Return of the Cyberman, the original version of Revenge of the Cyberman. Most of you guys know I love Revenge of the Cyberman and think it's possibly the most underrated Doctor Who story ever. So I would love a chance to actually listen to the original version of it. And I added some non-Doctor Who stuff up, like a Battlestar Galactica collection, which has like everything in it. That would be cool. Some Buck Rogers stuff, and I think like some Super 7 Ninja Turtle stuff. There's a lot of stuff on there if there's anything there you want to check out. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There is a link to that in the description below.